So, companies must go beyond random acts of humanitarianism. So, as I mentioned, this will just be a short presentation to discuss how companies can provide a sustained, thoughtful, and authentic response on the part of business that they can deliver for a broader and long term impact. Okay, so why are we talking about this? It's very relevant because during the COVID-19 pandemic, we've actually seen how the companies rush to provide help wherever they can. We see this was all over the news. And many purpose-driven companies in the US, Best Buy to Facebook, they provided grants for humanitarian efforts or even have their manufacturing lines repurposed to produce needed health supplies like hand sanitizers and ventilators. And in the Philippines, we know this. San Miguel did the same when they used their facilities to create isopropyl and ethyl alcohol rather than the liquor. Since they already have the facilities for it, they used it to create the the necessary materials that was in demand during that time. And even Unilever did this when they created hand sanitizers in their plants that used to make detergent soaps. So there are many efforts that popped up like this during the pandemic. And what they did definitely helped the country and the community in the time of crisis. But what we're looking at here is that it also helped cultivate loyal customers and highly motivated employees. For employees, they take pride in knowing that they work for a company that helped the community at the time of crisis. And for customers like me, we tend to admire these companies, and it leaves a lasting impression and goes into your decision making when you buy goods, because you take it into account like, oh, this company helps pala the community, and I remember they did this during the pandemic, and it leaves a lasting impression, right? However, their impact is limited and not sustainable. Of course, they can't continue turning their manufacturing facilities into alcohol making or hand sanitizer plants because they have to go back to their normal operations. And corporate crisis response becomes more meaningful when stakeholders know that what they are doing is part of its primary business for the benefit of the society in the future and not just for the time being. And that's what we want to discuss today. So, a company's purpose. So, a company's purpose provides a company a concise definition of why it chooses to exist. And it unites employees, customers, suppliers, and other stakeholders in creating a framework. And it gives leaders the courage and the conviction to make the decision through trying times. And it said that the best way for a purpose driven company to deliver aid during a crisis is to take inspiration and guidance directly from its reason for being. So it means that making their efforts clear of not only what a company does, but who it is. So this gives them more resources and unifies their stakeholders in the process. So here are a few examples of what we're trying to say here. So Microsoft has been living their purpose during the pandemic, which is to empower every person and organization on the planet to achieve more. So initially, we know that Microsoft develops personal computers, right? And at the time that they started, what they want is to be able to put a personal computer on every person on the planet. And eventually, it turned into empowering every person. And this manifested during the pandemic when they partnered with UNICEF to create remote learning platforms to help more than 1.5 billion students worldwide have been affected by the school closures. And they also teamed up with adaptive biotechnologies, and they help to analyze the virus effect on the immune system. And they even created an open source code that the other pandemic researchers can use. And another thing is Mahindra Group. So Mahindra Group is an Indian conglomerate and has defined its purpose in a single word, rise. And the idea is to strive for change that improves lives. And Mahindra Finance, even before pandemic, they provide financing to customers that are residents in rural areas of India. And during the pandemic, they did pretty much the same thing. And they devised different ways in order to help the people. And they even offer their resorts as healthcare facilities. And they use their IT infrastructure to monitor the virus outbreaks in the city. And they continue to provide the finance to the customers of the rural areas in India. And next example is PayPal, which stated that its purpose is to democratize financial services. So, in the recent years, they provided business loans to entrepreneurs and SMEs. And during the pandemic, they also did the same. PayPal became one of the first non banks to offer protection program loans. Of course, the company benefits from the interests that they get from the loans, right? But it also delivers the company's purpose. And as the platform to quickly get loans out to its customers, more than 10 million actually as of writing, and many of whom do not have access to bank financing. And finally, a company's response, this shows us that rather than just doing good works in the name of purpose, let your purpose guide your response. Because the best purpose driven companies take a leap and pursue social benefits, having the faith that they'll figure out a sustainable model. And when a company and its leaders provides a response in line with their purpose, they will come out of it even stronger with a supportive and united stakeholders and having delivered a positive impact. That's all, sir.